I was going to, we were talking at lunch, and I was going to say that if you belong to Homeschool Legal Defense, or you're homeschooling for the first time, and you have a special needs child, I highly recommend Homeschool Legal Defense. But they also pay for my evals. They have a foundation and I am a special needs consultant with HSLDA. And so the foundation will pay for my evals or part of them. So, so I am qualified through them to do that. Okay. Teaching reading. Are you ready for your test on your developmental profile? Okay, good. And the brain pathways? Oh, this is something I didn't go over because I don't have it up there. In your packet, you have the obstacle course. All right? And if your child didn't go through all the developmental steps, you need to go back and see if they can do a cross-pattern army crawl. You need to see if they can creep on their hands and knees in a nice cross-pattern, pushing with those toes. You need to see if they can do a cross-skip, which is a skip cross-pattern. You don't have to do the backwards cross-skip. The next three are vestibular: tire spin, forward roll, and log roll. Tire spin, you can do a chair spin. Instead, for vestibular, if they have balance issues, spin slowly 3 times one way, full stop, 3 times the other way, full stop, slowly. All the vestibular activities are slow, not fast. The vestibular organs are in the middle ear, and they're in an X, Y, Z plane. They're semicircular canals with little hairs on them, so with fluid, and it tells the brain and the body and the proprioceptive system what position we're in. So you need to move the body through an X, Y, Z plane to stimulate that, to normalize balance. So that's why we have the chair spin. We have somersaults. If you're cleared for somersaults, if your kids with Down syndrome, you have to make sure you have the AAI X-ray and you don't have problems with the Atlanta axial issue. And that's another plane. And then the log rolls are lying on the floor, hands at your side or hands above your head, 4 times one way, 4 times the other. And brachiation is monkey bars. Brachiation is overhead ladder. I mean, we all used to do this when we were kids, right? We'd throw ourselves all over the thing, hang upside down, brachiate. Kids don't do this anymore. It was even hard to find them. So, but we had ways to build them on the neurodevelopmental page on Facebook, if you're there. One of my moms figured out a way to build them in 2 hours. And I said, okay, I've only done this for 30 years and I never thought of that before. So I love my parents. They always come up with ways to get things done that's better than I ever thought of. Brachiation ladder. Brachiation, monkey bars, integrates all your hand reflexes. It straightens the spine. It expands the vital capacity. It makes the eyes work together, and it is a cross-pattern activity. It's the best thing you can do for fine motor. Monkey bars. As a matter of fact, with little kids, we start hanging them by their hands, you know, holding on to build their strength. With babies, I pull them up to sit position and back because there's a hands pulling reflex that needs to be integrated. Is one of the things we work on also. And eventually they'll hang from a bar and then do monkey bars. Somebody bring some babies in. I'm going to play with some babies. Sprints with wrist and ankle weights. If a child has proprioceptive issues, doesn't know where their body is in space, light wrist and ankle weights oh my gosh, one of my parents sent me a video of their son with Down syndrome, and he's 8. I think they have 1 pound weights on him. I'm going, oh no. He was doing it too. Just enough to give some feedback where your arms and legs are. They don't have to be heavy. And some flat out sprints will help the proprioceptive issues, where your body is in the space. And jumping jacks, most kids can't do that. I model it, do 1 step at a time. Okay? And then all boys especially need to run. Period. All right? 3 miles of walking equals talking. You have a child that's not talking? The most bang for your buck is getting that child walking, running 3 miles straight. Yes, it's straight. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this work. For brain injured kids, for autistic kids, for our kids with Down syndrome. One of my families in Florida had a 3-year-old girl with Down syndrome that didn't talk. Her mother was a banker. She was a single widowed mom. And she hired a teacher to do a program with her child. And so I came back in 3 months and that child was talking. The teacher took it to heart, and that child went from 0 to 3 miles in that 3 months and started talking. I cannot tell you. And the kids usually start talking at 2 miles. The 3 miles of talking, or walking equals talking, is an old institute's saying. But in the area of neuroplasticity, the number 1 area of the ability to grow the brain is exercise. Exercise is the number 1 thing they recommend. And running gets oxygen to the system, gets the oxygen to the brain, and I haven't seen swimming, I haven't seen bicycling, I haven't seen any other exercise do what running does. Running does a lot for our kids. So if speech is an issue, you'll get most bang for your buck from that. Period. And I know it's hard. Some of our kids do mall walking, just in the hot summers and all that. So that is, this is your neurologic organization here. The child can do all these in a nice cross pattern. When I had the school, when I worked with the teachers during the summer, and the school started doing this 3 times a week with the kids, only 20 minutes a day. They didn't do the 3 miles of walking equals talking. But the crawling, the creeping, the skipping, and the rolling, I got comments. Wow, we had the best year ever. We had the best focus. I don't know what you did, but its coordination really improved. Coordination is the number 1 thing I see improve when you do the cross pattern. Usually, almost all the kids I see with learning issues also have coordination issues, and I hear that all the time. So, okay. So also in your packet is the tactile sequence, and we talked about working on those tactility issues. The deep pressure, rub with the torture gloves. I call them torture gloves because they are to some kids. These are bath gloves. You can get them Dollar Tree, Publix, Bed Bath & Beyond if you want to spend more money, and so forth. So the way we do this, if you've done OT and they do the hard scrubby brush and then the joint compression. Well, we don't do that. But this is very effective. So, you want to be my model? You're so cute. Present arm. All right. So we want to do this in the most irritating fashion. Are you ready?
Oh, God.
That won't help. So I'm doing it very light and torturous.
It tickles.
Now, the instructions are you can kind of wake it up with a pat tickle, and then do this, and do the other hand, arm, foot, leg. Now, if the child has trunk issues, I also do the trunk. So, but these are the scratchy bath gloves. Huh. Should be able to get them for $1 or so somewhere. All right.
Oh, really?
Thank you, Donna. You make a wonderful model. All right. Yeah, I should go through my my notes here. Okay, and you have the papers on the auditory sequencing here, and different ways to do that, and the visual digit span. Okay. Teaching reading. If you remember from the developmental profile on visual, you remember we're identifying pictures first, all right? And one of my moms, my brilliant moms, this is in your packet, the Building Language Photo Library. One of my moms showed me this. Lakeshore Learning, do you go to Lakeshore Learning? Do you leave your credit card at home? I'm in trouble when I go to Lakeshore Learning. The Building Language Photo Library is awesome. It's gorgeous. It's how many is it? It is 270 cards laminated with a picture on one side and the word on the other for $50. Now, when I started doing this language program with my son, we had to dumpster dive and cut out magazines and laminate it, glue it to cardboard and whatever. These are gorgeous. It's 270 cards. Excellent. And once the child is identifying pictures, and then you can flip them over and do the words, or you can do word, picture, word, which we've done with that. Is he reading any?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. But this is okay for your grandbabies then, right? For your grandbabies, this is their Christmas present. This is a gorgeous set. Leslie Ginsky, tell me about this. Do you know Les? No, you're not from here. You're from up yonder. All right. So you want the child, you want to be talking about picture books. You want high quality pictures. You want realistic pictures. I don't like cartoony pictures. I got these at Office Depot or somewhere. Insects. The kids love information. They love to learn things. They want to know things. So, housefly. Aren't these beautiful? The kids love these. My son would sit there when he was a baby and let me show him pictures forever. He loved, and I always use really realistic pictures. And then, if you're familiar with the Doman system, they have the dot cards for math. One dot card and he'd run. So they put the number of dots, he says, be able to teach them to visually identify. And finally in one of the classes, Glenn Doman says, okay, you don't have to teach dots. So anyway, all right, so you got that. You want them identifying a lot of pictures and so forth. When I was doing a workshop in Beaufort, South Carolina, and a family came to my booth. They had a 5-year-old daughter with autism who didn't talk, considered low functioning, blah, 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 blah. So I took my high quality, highly technical materials, and I wrote 3 word cards. Her name, I can't remember, her name, her mom, and whoever else was with her. 3 word cards. Before she left my booth, after a couple of minutes, she was reading and approximately saying those 3 words. She learned those words in that period of time. So that shows you the intelligence is there. Okay. And her mom was like, right? Don't be afraid of sight words. You sight read. You sight read. You sight read. The phonics Nazis will tell you, let me see, what have I heard? You're inducing learning disabilities by teaching sight reading. Sam Blumenthal. We almost got into a fist fight at a homeschool conference. I said, you made that up out of whole cloth. So anyway. So once the child's eyes are tracking, converging properly, you've got to make sure that's in place. Once they're identifying pictures, you can introduce words. Now, everybody that wants to teach the children to read with only phonics, if your auditory processing is below 6, you cannot learn to read with phonics. You go, you can know all the letter sounds in the world, I have no idea what that means. They can't hold it in short-term memory and put it together and figure out what the word is, okay? So we teach kids to read that we're never supposed to be able to read. And we do it with sight words. So, all right. What did that say? Did you sound it out or did you sight read it?
Sight read it.
Thank you. So we all sight read. We use phonics as a way to figure out a word we don't know to figure out what the sight word is. So don't be afraid of it. The work of Sue Buckley out of England showed that the children with Down syndrome could learn to read with sight words. They could learn to read well. And it would also improve their language. And she has papers published on that. It would improve their spoken language. Because what I usually find is that my kids that learn to read with sight words intuit phonics. They figure it out. After you get about 100 sight words, you start to figure out these letters' sounds. And they figure it out without ever being really taught. If you want to teach it, we can teach it. And I do have a system to do that. But, so what I do, once the child identifying pictures, then the brain has to get the idea of visual language. So we teach 2, 3, 5 sight words, all right? Names usually are the most high interest, especially the names of the child, the name of the parents, and siblings, and the dog, and ice cream. That's what I have here. Once the child knows how to read those words, it's got the idea of visual language, then I introduce sight words, high interest sight words. Dulce words are boring, okay? Don't do dulce words. We want to do front end loader, you know, dinosaur. I don't care how long the words are. We want high interest words, about 5 new per week. And the way I do this, when I'm doing these with a child, is I put them in my pocket. Where's my other one? And I can't get these apart. The way I do these is I just go ice cream, elephant, ice cream, elephant. Okay, fast, quick. You know, a child can usually see 10 to 100 times faster than we can. The visual perceptual system is that much more sensitive. Dog. So if I hold that up and make the kids stare at it, if I make you stare at that for a minute, what happens?
I don't focus on
Your eyes cross and you go blind and you pass out and whatever. Yeah, so that's what we do to our kids, and we make them stare at it. Also, if I say, "What's that?" That's a test. And with the kids that are learning to read, if you test them all the time, they're going to tell you to take a hike, okay? They're going to quit learning. Don't test your kids. You can casually test your kids. You can throw on the floor and say, "I'm going to get the dog word," you know, like that occasionally. But for the most part, you don't test your kids. So when I'm first starting teaching a child to read, I do about 5 words per day, 5 words per week. And I add until it gets up to 20 words. And you know, I'll put 4 times a day for 1 minute on the program, but I just want you to casually, you know, show them the words throughout the day, kind of, until they get the idea of that. And once you get to 20 words in that stack, we retire the 5 oldest ones to the review stack, and we'll review those words and show them new words and review words throughout the day. But I don't do more than 20 at a time, 20 words per stack, like that. Once the child reaches 100, it's somewhere between, now I knew it was somewhere between 100 and 1,000 words, and I didn't know where. Now Sue Buckley, my hero, actually did a study and found out after 100 words, the kids pretty much intuit phonics. So it's 100 sight words. Once they do 100 sight words, they figure out phonics. But I'll give you some other resources to do that. And I also, oh, you have the picture of my sight words here. When I had the Montessori school, Teach High Interest Books is how all of our 3- and 4-year-olds were readers. This is what we used. And this tells you exactly how to do it. You find a book with few words, large print separated from the pictures, and put all those words on flashcards like this. This is one of my Goodwill finds. Put all these words on flashcards, teach them the words, and then pull the book out, and the child can read a book. Okay? And so all of our 3- and 4-year-olds are readers, even the ones that started school not talking when I had the Montessori school. I love the eyewitness books because they have very realistic pictures, and they have large print. And this is a level 1 eyewitness book. But you know what works? Dick and Jane. Remember Dick and Jane? Yeah. You don't remember Dick and Jane. Us old guys remember Dick and Jane. Yeah. So those are good. But you know, you can find a lot of them. When I was teaching my son to read, they didn't have so many resources, but there's a lot of I Can Read books out with, you know, a few words per page and so forth that are doing this. So God designed the human brain to learn language. He doesn't care whether it's visual, auditory, or tactile. That is how we are designed. And what you have to do is find the method to input it so that the child can learn. And once you do that, you'll see the intelligence start to express itself that way. So we're going to do, all right, once the child is reading about 2nd grade comprehension level, reading comp level, I move to a series called the New Practice Readers. And this is an adult remedial reading program. So the stories, this starts at 2nd grade level. The stories are not boring. They're interesting stories. It is not a Christian source, so some of the stuff you're going to not like, just skip it. Skip it. One of my moms, I can't believe you recommended that book for my child with autism. There was a fairy in the story, and she was so upset, and I went, Skip it. No, I really got yelled at that way. So, anyway, she won't see this video. So this is an excellent, this is phoenixlearningresources.com. This is what we get our reading comp level up. Each book goes up a grade level for reading comprehension. My goal...
Thank you.
phoenixlearningresources.com. There's probably 1 billion of them out there used because we've used this series forever. It's really a good series. And so the way we do this is, here's a lesson. This is review the vocabulary words, okay? Make sure the child can read them and know what they mean. See these blanks? Ignore them. No fill in the blanks. Don't worry about that. Unless you're a girl and girls like to fill in the blanks and all that. So girls are different. Boys hate it. Okay. Now the way I introduce this is I read the story to the child reads back to me, and we discuss the story. See these blanks? Skip it. All right. All right, so these are up here. You can look at them when we're done. I'll do 2 to 4 a day of these. And so, there's a fairy in the story. You're going to... Thank you. All right. Phoenix Learning Resources, they also have reading about science and reading for concepts. Same reader type of material. So you can use any of those series to get reading comprehension on. When I want the kids' reading level at high school level or college level as fast as possible. If the kids can read well, they're free, all right? And your job as a teacher is very easy. You just throw books at them, all right? With my son, he was reading at college level at 7, and I never was worried about his education. When he was 12, he worked as a carpenter all year. He didn't do any schoolwork. I found an ex-Marine platoon sergeant from Vietnam that taught him how to do carpentry and how to work. Thank you, Jesus. I mean, really, our boys learning how to work is probably one of the most important jobs you can do. So he did, and he actually told me later, you know how your kids never really, Mom, I appreciate that. You won't hear it. Usually. He actually told me he appreciated that. Because he saw some of his peers get in trouble and do things. He said, there but for the grace of God go I, because I learned how to work when I was younger. And he also worked as a legislative aide when he was 12. He got to go down to the State House and we had to find a suit at the thrift store. I had no idea how to tie a tie. So I had to get some guys from the church to show me how to tie a tie and all that stuff. So anyway, if your children can read well, you just throw books at them. That's good. Also, when my son went to college, that was the first time he really went full-time school. And he started college, he had just turned 17, as a sophomore because he AP'd everything out of the way the first year. And we have veteran homeschoolers here, right? How many times did you say, oh my gosh, I forgot to teach him X?
How do I give credit?
He could go to the library and read a book on it and be caught up because he could read so fast. I've never seen anybody who could read so fast. I think the kids that learn to read as babies are actually reading differently than us old guys that learned to read with phonics and Dick and Jane. Because he can read. He was reading Gone with the Wind when he was 9. I think we're driving somewhere. 9 seconds, both pages, with perfect comprehension. He could just strip information off a page so fast. It's just, he could read upside down as well as right side up too. So, which would make him a great salesman. He could walk into people's offices and look at their desks and stuff. No, never mind. So reading comprehension, I wanted to show you. Write down sadlerconnect.com. sadlerconnect.com. That's a vocabulary workshop. Are you familiar with vocabulary workshop books? I think I can, let me show you this. I think I can come back to this. You can see all my secrets here. All right, Sadler. I can't see it. Connect.com. What? What is this? You'll be directed to the Chrome store. I don't want that. What is this nonsense? All right. All right, sadlerconnect.com. Thank you. Got it? Do you see this? Go down to Student and Family Resources. Click on that. Vocabulary Workshop is an excellent vocabulary program. So if you have a child that's reading 5th, 6th, 7th grade level, and you want to just introduce them to a lot more vocabulary, is an excellent way to do it. More than they'll get just with their reading, because it keeps moving the reading level up. So go down to Vocabulary Workshop. Click on that. Now you'll see Book A is 6th grade level. So it starts at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So if your child is reading at 6th grade level, you can click on this and see you have Unit 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you had the books for this, they would do 1 unit a week with lots of hopping and jumping and answering questions and all that. We're just going to fly through these words, okay? I want the kid exposed to a lot of words, a lot of vocabulary. But this is really cool. You probably won't be able to hear it. If I go to, so the way I do this usually with my families is I have them do Unit 1, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Unit 1, 2, 3. And then review all the words Thursday and Friday. And then the next week go to Unit 4, 5, 6, and so forth. So we're flying through these words. You got it? So you go to Unit 1. Okay, here's Unit 1. Go down to I words and click on that. Now, when I click on these,
apparel. Apparel. Apparel functions as 2 parts of speech. It can be used as a noun meaning clothing or dress. By July, many department stores are selling fall apparel. Or, in Shakespeare's As You Like It, the heroine disguises herself in men's apparel. Or, apparel can be used as a verb that means to put clothes on, or to dress up. The choir members may be apparel in all the colors of the rainbow. Or the guests at a Halloween party may apparel themselves in colorful and imaginative costumes. Now, let's hear you say apparel. Try the word again.
But see, this is considered 6th grade, but these are fairly high-level words. And it doesn't make you do a lot of nonsense. So we can go through a lot of words and help build vocabulary very quickly. The kids that do go through this whole program usually do really well on the verbal SATs. So it's a very good program. So here's the 1st grade level. And if we look at Unit 1, how they do the I words here for the younger kids is bold. It does pronounce them for them. Bold. How do you do this?
Bold. Bold. When a person is bold, that person is not afraid. A bold acrobat walked high above the crowd. Now you say bold. Bold.
Isn't it cute? Okay, so I wanted you to see that. Another thing I was going to show you while we're on, here's my neurodevelopmental programs page on Facebook. All of you are on Facebook except you guys, right? This is where I post different, here's Army calling. Now, one of my moms was a PhD physical therapist, and she brought her son with autism into me when he was 4. And he couldn't do crawling. He couldn't do an Army crawl at all. He came back in 3 months and he had a perfect cross-pattern Army crawl. I looked at her and I said, okay, what did you do? She said, well, his physical therapists were trained in Bobath, which is neurodevelopmental that comes out of England. And she has a way of patterning him. And so she and her twin sister, who's also a physical therapist, made this video for me showing how they trained their son to do a cross-pattern crawl. But anyway, these resources are on the neurodevelopmental page. Anyway, I just wanted to show you, I'm not going to show you the whole video, and you can't hear her. But anyway, it just shows how they patterned him. That's her husband. That's not their kid. And she shows you exactly how to put the hands and how to do that. So this is a wonderful, beautiful resource.
Then you have to release your hands completely.
So she tells you exactly how to do this here. And I'm going to show you another video here. Yeah, see, Dr. McDonald, who works with language delayed children, was offering to do a free video analysis at no cost here. Free at no cost, that's good, right? Here's my brain picture. And all right. Okay, this is a little 3-year-old girl from Australia with Down syndrome. Now this is a perfect cross-pattern crawl. Wow. Will you look at this, kid? Panties and all. Isn't it gorgeous?
Up on your knees, Edie, come and show Violet.
And the accent, you have the accent.
You follow, Edie? You crawl?
I crawl.
I said, Shayla, you got to send me this video. My family's had to see that nice cross-pattern, synchronize.
Now can you do up on your knees, Edie, come and show Violet? You follow, Edie?
That's what a cross-pattern crawl looks like.
I crawl.
And look at those toes digging in. See how our toes are digging in? That's.
Now can you do up on your knees, Edie, come and show Violet?
All right, stop. We already did that. Okay, I just wanted to show you that.
You follow, Edie? You crawl?
Oh, come on, Edie, stop it. Where are you? All right. Wait. Okay, that's good. All right. PowerPoint. Okay. New practice readers, you got that part, Victory Jewel book. This is an excellent book that I use. Are any of you familiar with this book, Victory Jewel book? This is a real old-fashioned reading book. And when I'm working with kids and they're at that 3rd to 4th grade reading level and they still haven't automatized their reading, I use this, all right? And you can see each page is a whole bunch of practice words with a particular sound, all right? And the way you use this is that you keep track of how many words per minute they can read and how many minutes per page, and they try to do this. Now with some of the kids I have to echo read with them. Do you know what echo reading is? Is I read part of it, they read part of it, I read a little bit more, they read a little bit more, until they can read the whole thing. I echo read it. So it depends on the level of function of the child how I actually use it. If the child cannot read through independently and makes too many mistakes, then I'll echo read it. And it's the same way with the new practice readers. Sometimes the child can read back the whole story. Sometimes it's only a paragraph. I'd read a paragraph, they read that back. I read 2 paragraphs, they read that back. I read 3 paragraphs, they read that back. So it's according to the level of the function of the child. Make your child successful. Make your child successful, okay? Do not have them failing. So find out where the kid falls off the cliff, get right underneath them, and teach at that level and keep pushing it up. That's essentially the way we do it with that. The Victory Jewel book. Okay, so this is a really good resource for automatizing that reading along the way. It's pretty funny. I got this at one of those discount stores. Percent enamelers. These are the kind of things I use with little kids, and they love realistic pictures and the words on them. We need people with little kids here too. I love these books. Okay. There's something else I was going to do. I'll think of it later. Okay, any questions about that?
I do. For me, I don't have to.
So, as they improve the reading, how do you get this to translate to better comprehension? Because like him, he'll read a whole page, he'll read pages, but the
Comprehension?
Yeah.
Well, that's when you do the questions and the discussion. That's what the new practice readers are for. They actually work on reading comprehension. Yes. Yes, I have that a lot. The kids can read stuff and they don't pay attention. As a matter of fact, one of the techniques I noticed when I was working with a child, he'd read every word and couldn't answer the comprehension questions. So I started having him read the word, cover up the sentence, and ask him what it said. See if he was paying attention to his own mouth. And sometimes they don't. So that's actually a good way to work on auditory processing too. So if auditory processing is really low and they read a long sentence, they may not be able to hold all those pieces in short-term memory. So that's something you have to be aware of. So is it auditory processing or is it comprehension? Sometimes it could be a combination of both. Okay. Does that help? Okay.
So I have a question. My oldest daughter, I've read her books and she can read me the story without looking at the book and everything. But when I tried to help her like open the book and then, point to the words that she's saying, she can't do it.
What is she doing?
She has memorized.
Oh, she's memorized it. Get more
memorized
books.
the book and knows it word for word.
Get more books.
Okay, so then just keep working with
Yeah,
it
yeah,
and
yeah.
just get different,
Yeah.
pick a different books and then.
Hit her over the head with a book, get another one. Yeah.
Okay,
She memorized the books, yeah, that's,
see, I just didn't know. that.
yeah. I've seen that before.
Oh my gosh, she does it a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes it takes you a bit to figure out what in the world they're doing.
Well, I was hoping since she knew the story, that I could use that story to teach her to read by, saying,
Yeah.
using my finger and
Go the other way.
Go the other way? Okay.
Teach her the words and then pull the book out.
Okay.
Try that.
Okay.
And see if that works. Yeah.
I mean, she does it too, so.
Humans are basically lazy. We do what's easy. We do what we're good at. So she's very good at memorizing and remembering, but she hasn't learned to read the words yet. So, yeah. So just break it down. Do the words first.
Okay.
And sounds like she'll pick it up really fast. Yeah. I actually find that girls usually graduate from program pretty fast. Boys, yeah. not as fast. Okay, I'm going to do a few quick things on math. And one of the most discouraging things to me is when I get families in here and they've had their children in school, like the kids with Down syndrome or autism, and they're not really teaching the kids. They're not really showing them how to do things. They're doing worksheets, they're doing this, they're doing life skills, but they're not really teaching them. There's not an expectation to teach them. Now with Down syndrome, I've found, I'm an engineer, I love math. God loves math. I want everybody to love math, even girls. Don't ever tell your kids you're no good at math. Don't ever tell your kids you hate math. Oh, good, good.
His dad loves math, it's okay.
No, if we're not allowed to say, I hate reading, but we feel perfectly okay to say, I hate math. We need more people that know math. We need more math brains, more logic out there. So my process of teaching math when I'm starting with the little kids is that we start with counting objects, just counting objects all day long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, blah, 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 blah. And I will tell you, my kids with Down syndrome, I have great success with teaching them reading and lots of failures with teaching them math. And I finally figured out, Amanda taught me this. Amanda was my first young lady with Down syndrome I was teaching many years ago. And Amanda read really well. She did well in all the classes, and she was terrible at math. I kept watching her, and I figured out Amanda doesn't visualize relationships. She doesn't visualize spatial relationships. And I found that generally to be the case with Down syndrome, and I don't know why. But they say they're visual learners. They're visual learners and visual sequential, but not visual spatial. So to be good at math, you have to understand visual spatial relationships. So I did develop some techniques for that, for teaching that. I had to start with my own son, who at 14, we started algebra for the third time. He still wasn't getting it. So I pulled out an old activity. I realized he was such a conceptual learner, he was such a word person, that he had no concept. He would get lost if he had one turn, to go somewhere. He had no concept of space and spatial relationships. This is my son, who's supposed to be neurotypical. And I pulled out an activity. Well, I actually developed it. And Classical Conversations copied it from me, but they never gave me attribution. Is draw maps. He's sitting and drawing a map of the United States every day until you could draw the map from memory. And then you have to remember the visual spatial relationships. So with Down syndrome, we start early with visual memory. Is show them a picture and then ask them to describe it. All right? With autism, it's just all over the map. It could be anywhere. It's very individual. But with Down syndrome, I found it I've only had one or two kids with Down syndrome that were really good with math. And the rest of them, it's been a struggle. It's been a big struggle. So with the little ones, I start with counting, 1-to-1 correspondence counting. Another TJ Maxx find. TJ Maxx has some good toys sometimes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have you ever seen the Japanese do the abacus? They can do all this fancy stuff. So I teach them lots of things like that. Once they can count to 10, 1-to-1 correspondence, I do things like, I actually had a family that had these hanging from their rearview mirror yesterday. Is that cool or what? I haven't seen any. I said, I use those for math. So, do you have some? Isn't this a 70s thing?
They have the phones like that in Dollar Tree.
I saw some yesterday. They must be back. I don't know. So these are math toys. So you can roll this out and, count the dots and then count these dots. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay, so you can play little games like that with the kids using the dots. And the visual circle math paper is in your handouts. I'm going to run into 2 o'clock here. So visual circle math, I think this was developed by Bob German within ACD. I'm not sure. But, they teach touch math at schools and pay a lot for the program. This doesn't cost anything. And touch math, once you get past 5, it gets kind of complicated. So what we're going to do here, when you're first starting with a child, you teach them draw 1 circle, draw 2 circles. Now you can do this on grid paper or whatever with the child, okay? So once they can do up to 9, then you're going to start addition. And that's on your visual. So 1 plus 2, you draw 1 circle next to the 1, you draw 2 circles next to the 2, you count how many's there, and 3. Okay? So, yeah, you got to be making progress. 3 plus 1 equals 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right? Teach horizontally and vertically. All right? If you want to do subtraction, 1, 2, 3, 4 is subtraction. Take away 1, 3 is left. All right? Easy peasy. And you can take this with you anywhere. You don't need toys, you don't need manipulators, you don't need 3 minus 2. 1, 2, 3 minus 2. 1, 9. right? And then you move to columns. One circle, two circles, one circle, two circles, 1, 2, 3. I usually cut it down the middle. Okay. And then once I can do that, you're really ready to move into the second grade math book. So this, if they can't draw the circles, you can use stamps on a whiteboard type of thing. But I usually try to get them to draw it and use grid paper if they need it to keep it lined up. If they have trouble lining it up, it could be fine motor, it could be visual. So we have to discriminate which one it is. All right. Here is $8. See this? This is not a math book. This is a book of math concepts. The number of problems in here doesn't matter. What matters in here is that the child knows how to work each kind of problem in here. All right, so what's a math concept? If I'm adding 3 digits, 2 digits columns, 2 digits, 3 digits, 2 digits, 4 digits, each one of those is a different math concept. So you teach the child to do each one individually. Now the way I write the programs for teaching math, and this is really important because I failed at teaching math to my sister and my son because I talk too much. You learn the concept of doing arithmetic visually by watching it being done. You learn the concept of you learn math facts auditorily by hearing them. 7 times 8 is, 6 times 8 is, 3 times 9 is. You hear the answer in your head, right? Hopefully. Nod your head, yes. Yes. Right. So we teach the arithmetic visually. We show the child how to do it. We teach the math concepts, the facts auditorily. And I'll show you. Did I do that? Did I give you that paper? Fast Math Fact flashcards. No, I didn't. I'll make sure you have that. Ooh, I didn't get that in the handout. I'll make sure you get a copy of that. Did everybody put their email address on here? I can send it to you as an email. Okay, so what I do after I test the kids, and you know, if you're teaching reading and math at home, you need to kind of know what their reading level is to start and what their math level is to start. So I go through the book and I find the math that the child doesn't know how to do. And I take that concept and I make, for 10 minutes, I write 75% visual input. That means I work 3, he tries to work the 4th. I work 3, he tries to work the 4th. I do my talking, blah, 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 and then I say, watch. I work 3. If I need to talk, put the pencil down. Don't make them watch and try to listen to you at the same time, because you can't do that. Either I'm listening to you or I'm watching what you write. And if the kids could articulate the problem, they would say, please be quiet so I can see. All right? Don't talk and write at the same time. That was a hard lesson for me to learn. I was very bad at it. So the next day, if the child can't work those kind of problems independently, guess what you're going to do? You're going to independently input again, how to do that kind of problem. You're going to make up more problems. I don't care how many are in the book. But they don't have enough repetition in the book. I don't care. This costs $8, you know? You don't have to spend $150 on a Saxon book, you know, to blah, blah, blah. I hate Saxon, by the way. And so you don't need to spend a lot. The first 6 years of math, what do you learn? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, percentage, fraction, decimals. You already know how to do those, right? Just not yet. So just go through the book, find a new concept, input it for 10 minutes a day. You work 3, he works the 4th. You work 3, he works the 4th. If you need to talk, write, put the pencil down, talk, write, put the pencil down, talk. It's that simple. So you're inputting how to do it visually. And then what I do is I put math process review 50% visual input for 5 minutes a day. So for 5 minutes you go back in the book and find a concept the child has already had. You work 2, he works 2. You work 2, he works 2. And the next day you go to another concept to review. So your 10 minutes input of something new, 5 minutes of something review. Now, you can write up a worksheet if you really want to, you know, well, whatever, to have the kids do some more problems. But generally, I find the kids move along with the math pretty decently that way. Okay?
What's the name of that book?
Huh?
Spectrum math.
What is it?
That's spectrum math.
Spectrum?
Oh, this is Spectrum Math. I like it because it's cheap. And I like cheap and free. Cheap and free. If you have extra money, you can send it to me. You know, you just feel like throwing money away. Yeah, it's Spectrum Math. McGraw-Hill, other people publish this. Yeah, you feel free to come look at the materials when we're done. All right, math facts are learned auditorily, and I'll get this to you as a. These look like flashcards, and they are. But the way I teach the math facts is to input the information auditorily, but the child's going to provide their own auditory input. Sitting there filling out timed worksheets and putting the wrong answer for math facts does not teach you the math facts. What you do is you build an auditory pathway to the brain that has that math fact. 3 times 9 is 27, 6 times 8 is 48, 9 times 8 is 72. So, I use the big flashcards here. These are a Becca. I think Lakeshore Learning also has these, where they have the building language photo library. So when you're teaching the child these math facts, you start with a family. Start with the 1s, start with the 2s, start with the 3s. Now, I've got a paper on this. I'll either email it to you, or maybe we can get Dave to make some copies before you leave. And so the child is looking for 1 minute. The child is looking at the math facts and saying the whole thing aloud. Now, what increases learning? Intensity. The intensity goes up when he tries to say more per minute. So every day he tries to say more per minute. You know, so he's saying the whole math fact aloud. I know these aren't related to each other, but you got the idea. Now, once that family, the child has been through that family a while, you turn them over and see if they can say the whole math fact and supply the answer, get it correct. Okay, if they can't, turn them back over, practice again. Every time the child fails to do something correctly, what are you going to do? You're going to input it again. Got it? You're not going to let that child fail. Come on. You're not going to let that child fail. You're going to input it again. And with our kids that are neurologically disorganized, that have problems, that you know. You. Some days it's going to be there and some days it's not. Don't shame the child, just redo it. Unless they're being jerks, you know, and then you can have at it. And they're perfectly capable of doing that, right? All right, so you got that? And then you move to the next family, and then you move to the next family. And then you mix them up. Make sure they're fast and furious. My son was doing this with his friends. They got up to 120 a minute. They were saying them so fast you couldn't even understand them. I was going for 800 on the SATs, guys. So we needed scholarships. So anyway, that's pretty much how I do the math facts with these. So I'll get you a copy of the Fast Math Fact flashcards, how to do that with them. And then we just got a few other things to cover here. If your child can read well, you know, we did that. Oh, there's a 1,000 good book list. When I tell there's another thing you need to know. When your child is working a problem and they don't know their math facts yet, post the math facts next to them so they can look up the math facts. You know, 3 times 9 is 27, and while they're working the problem. Don't let not knowing the math facts get in the way of them learning the math concepts. Does that make sense? So before they have them all memorized, post them over here. The child can look them up and then continue to do the multiplication, for instance. They can go ahead and learn the concepts and not know the math facts yet. Now, on Lakeshore Learning, they have these cool things. I got these at a yard sale. And it's not electronic, but these are all the math facts. And you push the button, 4 times 2 is 8. The 8 magically appears, and they just say this. So I think one of my moms said Lakeshore Learning still had these. So, have you seen them?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm afraid to go to Lakeshore Learning again. I spend too much money there. So, they have this, and they have one. Did they have an edition one like this?
I haven't seen that one.
This is my edition one. Yeah, isn't it cute? Yard sales. So. Okay. I told you I'm not a curriculum person. I'm a skills person. This guy is brilliant. All right? I love him. I love it when everything you need to know is in one book. All right? Edie Hirsch. The Core Knowledge series. This isn't... What's that nasty stuff in school now? It's Common Core. Common Core. It's not that. This is Core Knowledge. This is everything they study in the 2nd grade in one book. Okay? And it's really high level. It's not baby stuff. And it goes through literature, language. You can look at all these. Math, stories, grammar, music, visual arts, mathematics, money, measurement, geometry, multiplication, cycle of life and biology, science, simple machines. It goes through everything. Everything they could possibly study in 2nd grade and 3rd grade and 4th grade. It goes up to 6th grade. And then after 6th grade, they have the First Dictionary of Cultural Literacy by Edie Hirsch. All right, and that's covering high school subjects. And then for adults, they have the Dictionary of Cultural Literacy.
So what's the name?
Everything an adult should know. What's what?
Goodwill.
This? The Core Knowledge series, Edie Hirsch.
Okay. It's in your thing. Edie Hirsch. Thank you.
It's on there.
Oh, okay.
Now, Edie Hirsch is Jewish, so the stuff on religion is a little weird. So, and the stuff on science, there's some evolution and stuff that I don't agree with, so just skip it. Got it? Skip it. Skip it? Got it. Okay, good. Don't yell at me. Skip it. Inputting high-level language and information, we already talked about that. And a really good resource, have you been to the 1,000 Good Books? Let me show you what that looks like. When I
Sorry, if I don't move around,
huh?
they're laughing at me because I'm talking.
No, we're laughing at the list. It hasn't been updated since 2003,
Oh.
What hasn't been updated?
the list.
It's classic.
What is this? It's dark. If you search on 1,000 Good Books, it's classical homeschooling here. Now they have these by grade levels. Primary 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, 10 to 12. So say your child is 4 to 6. But look how many books they have. This is a classical literature, very high level language. And like I said earlier, don't read to your child anything they read for themselves. You always want to push the level and the interest further and wider. Holiday books, I don't know what those are. And then the literature list is quite long here. I thought I'd read a lot. I haven't read a lot of these. All right. I'm sure these are probably half banned by now, you know.
I was saying some of them might be hard to get, you know.
Gutenberg. Gutenberg, are you familiar with that? And LibriVox. Gutenberg is all the books out of copyright. They tried to get them all online free. You can find some really weird stuff there. I like weird books. And LibriVox is the audio version of the same. So there's a huge library of free audiobooks on LibriVox. LibriVox. There's also another resource that for audiobooks, when you want to input language into the dominant ear, or the ear that should be dominant, Books Should Be Free has changed its name. Books Should Bed Free, nope, wrong. Bookshouldbefree.com has changed its name to, oh no, what's it called now? Loyal Books. It's called Loyal Books. Whew. I got to remember that. You know, once I get a website in my brain, I can't change. This is audiobooks free. So you can download these to an MP3 player and listen to them. And this is from LibriVox, but it's organized. So there's a huge library of audiobooks here. Dacula. 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 Yeah. Anyway, you can see there's a huge library of different books here. You get them in Chinese too, isn't that good? Spanish. That's cool.
It's all downloadable.
All
you can download.
was the best of times. How's it go? The best of times, the worst of times. Tale of Two Cities. All right. Anyway, you can see there's. I wonder if how many of these are going to survive the current purge of literature. I see a big book burning going on. Well, I know you can't get Mark Twain anymore. And Wilder's books, were they in trouble? I forget. Oh well. Anyway, that resource for you. And so input lots of good literature, and then teach your kids to work. Do you have your chore chart? Your chore chart for your kids? The one about Shave Grandpa and all that one? Do you have that one? You don't have that chore chart? Where is that one? Chore chart. Where is that? Oh. Where is that? Here it is. Give Dad a haircut, file the taxes, chainsaw the choosing. Bathe Grandpa, recycle the roof. Never mind. I don't know what that was.
Scrub the kitchen and it's in this one spot. So help me God, we're starting to. I'm glad that went out.
All right, did I cover everything? Now you know it all. You tell me about all that dominant stuff. Right? Okay. Questions? Complaints? Stop it. Skip it. What?
In that Spectrum Math book, you said you show them how to do it first and then let them do it. But you said when you're showing them, you're not talking. So you're not explaining to them what you're doing when you're showing them?
Explain. Blah, 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 blah.
And then,
Say watch.
okay.
You work 3, they try to work the 4th. Got it? 75% visual input. That means you work 3, they work the 4th. If you've got to talk, put your pencil down
Okay.
so they can hear you. And then pick the pencil up and say watch again. Believe me.
That's going to be hard.
Believe me. It's true. Let me print this paper off, or maybe I can get Dave to bring us copies if he's paying attention. Yeah. Oh, I love my little toys. Are you working on fine motor at all? Are you familiar with? You're working with little kids. These Dover books. I love Dover books, mainly because they're $1 a piece. In the Montessori school, when we first started handwriting, we had the inserts and the kids would trace the shapes and then color the whole thing in with a pencil. You get a lot more pencil time than just tracing letters and so forth. And they had this, and the Dover books has all different kinds, musical instruments, stencils, numbers, and cards, and all that. So that was one way of getting a lot of fine motor work in without much trouble. Also with the little kids, we did busy boards, and you can go to the hardware store and get all kinds of fun things to do. I love hardware stores. The height of my parenting career, it was a very mountainous journey, was 4 4th birthday party at a hardware store. So I knew a guy who owned a hardware store, and I said, you know, some kids go to McDonald's, you know, and we spent all of our fun times in hardware stores. And so you can, you know, the kids get practice doing this. And you can do all kinds of fun things with this. So this is, what is that toy store? They used to be good.
Toys R Us?
Huh?
Toys R Us?
Yeah, no.
Discovery Zone?
Discovery store.
Anyway, it went out of business. Everything good went out of business.
Yeah, Discovery Zone.
Before that, the learning.
It was before Discovery, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was one
The
before.
Learning Express.
The what?
Learning Express or something?
I'll think of it in a minute. My brain is slow to fire up those old synapses. So.
I have a question. What's your magic for teaching math? I mean, money and math.
Practice, input, money.
We have a problem with money and time.
Yeah. Again, input it in pieces. Break it down into bits. Input it in pieces. Start with hours, start with half hours, and start with 15 minutes. Count by 5s, and so forth, for time. You know those clocks, right?
Yeah.
You can also get the clocks on flashcards. So try that. Time with respect to telling time, or
I was gonna say,
get rid of your digital clocks to start with.
their issue is not so much the telling of time, but understanding the passage of time. What was ago, what is tomorrow, how, they'll say, I did that 2 hours ago, when they meant 2 minutes ago. Or 2 weeks could be a month.
You know, that's an interesting problem, and I don't really know the reason. I really don't know. All I know is to practice with timers. And,
We do a lot of calendar work.
huh?
We do a lot of calendar work, trying
Yeah, I
to
think
look
that's-
at the calendar.
I think
and
that's a
say,
waste of time, but,
That was 2 weeks ago, you know?
well, that's,
This is
inputting the
happening
information
2
is
weeks
always
ago.
helpful. Learning calendar work. Why nobody has a sense of time passage. Yeah, I was married to that guy. I don't know. All I can say is if I had that problem, I'd be practicing with timers. You know? And maybe setting alarms, you know, as time passes, to make an awareness of it. But how does the brain register that? I don't know. How does the brain register time passage? It's like rhythm. Where's rhythm in the brain? I had this, I know it's important and it has something to do with learning, but I had this talk with Ingo Steinbach, who's the sound therapy expert. We don't know. We know it needs to be developed, but not really sure. I know it's involved with the cerebellum. I'm not really sure how it all works together. As a matter of fact, with the neurodevelopmental profile, we met with Dr. Carl Delicato before he died about 4 years ago, I think. And he said, he was such a sweet, humble, brilliant man. He said, oh yeah, we left the cerebellum off. We completely forgot about it. And we were just young and arrogant. That's what he said. So, can you imagine being young and arrogant?